Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to Oba's Trending Gist, the channel where we dissect the hottest topics making waves across Nigeria. Today, we are looking at a fascinating and intellectually stimulating exchange from Arise News. It features the sharp and incisive Rufai Oseni, putting some very tough questions to the one of the most respected minds in Nigerian political journalism, Sumner Sambo, who is the Director of News and Politics Editor at Arise. In this clip, Rufai questions the very fabric of party loyalty and political integrity in Nigeria. But what is just as interesting is how Sumner Sambo navigates these questions, providing a masterclass in political analysis. This is more than just news. It is a deep dive into the mechanics of Nigerian politics. So let's get right into the video. Sit back and take a watch.
Anyway, let me just quickly correct some things. Penkele Mess was APC on loan to Accord. So that was an APC person that President Tinubu brought into his cabinet. In fact, it was the candidate for governorship of APC in the last election. It was because he had a squabble with the person that became the candidate of APC. So he's still an APC person through and through. So Accord was just a loan.
Of Accord party.
It was just a loan fringe party. He went on loan. You know, when a player goes on loan, he's still owned by the parents' club. So he's still owned by APC. So he just went on loan to Accord. But are we justifying hypocrisy by saying Seyi Makinde is repentant? A man that went against the grain of his own political party. What happened to being a party man through and through when it doesn't favor you? Because a lot of political watchers are saying people like Seyi Makinde are now crying wolf today. He wants to fix the same PDP he helped destroy just in the last election cycle because it did not favor him. What happens to be a party man through and through? The other question I also like to ask is, are we not just supporting hypocrisy when we are quoting a court case from a Nasarawa court as regards the Labour Party after the Supreme Court have given finality on an issue that Abure faction has no role to play, and INEC has appended that in the last election? Because we forget that Abure faction also had candidates in the last by-election, but INEC said, no, you have no right. And the candidate that were adopted were the candidate not from the Abure faction. And as regards Dati Ahmed, have you snooped around to also understand that maybe Dati might have been pushed by some forces to say the things he's been saying lately as regards Peter Obi and trying to say to pretty much coddle the Abure faction? Maybe the puppeteers that are pushing Abure too are probably pushing Dati. Have you heard anything relating to Dati's even assets in Abuja? You know he has a big asset there. Have they been looking at him somehow based on his assets that he has in Abuja? Sources are talking.
Well, very interesting perspective you brought in place. I mean, there are talks here and there that there's an APC wing of the Labour Party, and then, of course, an obedient wing of the Labour Party. And we've seen those influences here and there, because some party insiders are actually accusing Dati Baba Ahmed of wanting to actually swing to the APC thinking of what the Labour Party should be ahead of the 2027 general election. But while he insists that he's still a dominant force and that he remains committed to Peter Obi, and that Peter Obi can only contest the election if he remains in the Labour Party. Because if he does goes to the ADC or PDP, there's no how he's going to get any of the ticket. Well, he may have his own point, because like I keep insisting, Peter Obi has never won any presidential primary of any major political party. You know what happened? He was just handed the ticket of the Labour Party in the last presidential election cycle. And so if he does stand in, either in ADC or Labour Party or PDP, this will be his major test at a national primary election. And so we await to see that. But party insiders keep saying that, look, Dati should actually just come to the ADC and support them over there. But they keep insisting that Atiku Abubakar should step aside. He's too old. He can't lead. But Atiku, in his own wisdom, believes that, look, the best way to actually win the election 2027 is for him to be given the ticket, because he's the only one who can mobilize other political party leaders. win the APC. But talking about some of the issues that are happening, Seyi, Makinde and all of that, yes, I mean, in politics, you can't be too hard at times. And sometimes you have to be very flexible to allow certain things to happen. And that's why I'm saying that ahead of today's NEC meeting, some party insiders that I've spoken with in the PDP said that they are prepared to sanction Wike today. In fact, that's what one of the elderly persons said. That Wike's problem is becoming so much. And just quickly, Dr. Abati, that they are saying that Samuel Anyanwu has continued to stand on the part of those against the party and not discharge the responsibility of his office as National Secretary and discharge the oath of allegiance to the party which he took. And now Samuel Anyanwu himself is divided because he wants to stand for the Imo State governorship election. And the party's structure in Imo State, he will want to appropriate it. Now, I've heard that he has said that he wouldn't want to betray his friend, Nyesom Wike, for the second time again, like he did last time in 2022 when he signed Atiku Abubakar's papers to INEC when Atiku emerged as the party's candidate. And so he's divided whether to go with Wike or to continue to maintain his position as the National Secretary and go with the party and sign the document so that, he doesn't make things hard for himself. So this is a very dicey situation. And if he doesn't take the right decision, I also hear that the NEC may take some strong decisions against the National Secretary of the party for not signing a letter to INEC for the convention to hold in November.
Welcome back. That was quite an exchange. A high-level game of political chess played out live on air. Let's break down not just Rufai's question, but also Sumner's incredibly nuanced response. First, Rufai Oseni sets the stage perfectly. He came in strong, calling out what he sees as blatant hypocrisy. He questions the loyalty of politicians like Seyi Makinde, who worked against their own party, the PDP, and are now positioning themselves as reformers. His core question was powerful. What happened to being a party man? True and true, he also hinted at a deeper game being played within the Labour Party, suggesting that key figures are being manipulated by puppeteers, and even questioned if Dati Baba Ahmed's assets were being used as leverage. These are the kind of direct, challenging questions the Nigerian public wants answers to. Now, let's analyze Sumner Sambo's response, which was a masterclass in itself. Instead of getting defensive or emotional, Sumner handled it with the calm of a seasoned editor. He began by acknowledging Rufai's point as a very interesting perspective. This is a classic diplomatic way to validate the question without necessarily agreeing with the premise. Then he skillfully addresses the Labour Party issue. Notice how he doesn't confirm Rufai's puppeteer's theory. Instead, he elevated the conversation by confirming that there are indeed talks here and there about an APC wing and an obedient wing within the Labour Party. By doing this, he shows he is aware of the undercurrent without presenting rumors as facts. It is a very responsible way to handle sensitive political information. He then pivoted brilliantly. He shifts the focus from the alleged manipulation of Dati Baba Ahmed to the practical political reality facing Peter Obi. He points out that Obi has never won a major party's presidential primaries and that his only viable path to the presidency in 2027 is likely through the Labour Party. This shifts the narrative from one of conspiracy to one of cold, hard political strategy. Finally, Sumner brings the conversation back to the day's main topic, the PDP's upcoming NEC meeting. He uses Rufai's theme of party loyalty and applies it to the National Secretary of the PDP, Samuel Anyanwu, who he described as being torn between his loyalty to his friend Nyesom Wike and his official duty to the party. This was a masterful way to answer Rufai's abstract question about loyalty with a concrete real-world example that is currently unfolding. Now, for my critical take, this exchange is so important because it perfectly illustrates the tension in Nigerian politics. Rufai Oseni represents the passionate, frustrated Nigerian who is tired of the hypocrisy and demands ideological purity. He asks, why are our politicians behaving this way? Sumner Sambo, on the other hand, provides the analytical perspective of the political insider. His response essentially explains how and why they behave this way. It's not necessarily a justification, but an explanation rooted in political calculus, ambition, and survival. His analysis shows that for many of these politicians, their actions are not driven by a lack of morals, but by a strategic assessment of their own interests and their path to power. The dilemma of Samuel Anyanwu is a perfect example, a choice between personal alliance and party duty, with his own gubernatorial ambition hanging in the balance. What this entire conversation reveals is a political system that often rewards flexibility and personal alliances over rigid ideology and party loyalty. It highlights a political class that is consistently navigating a complex web of interest to stay relevant. The key takeaway here is that while we, the public, demand integrity and consistency, the political game as it is currently played in Nigeria often forces actors into this compromised position. And it is the role of sharp journalism, as demonstrated by both Rufai and Sumner, to expose these realities for all of us to see and debate. So, what are your thoughts? Do you think Sumner Sambo effectively answered Rufai's question, or was it a skillful dodge? Who do you think made the stronger point? Drop your analysis in the comment below. Thank you for tuning into Oba's Trending Gist. If you enjoyed this deep dive, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next analysis. Until next time, stay informed and stay engaged.